Coming to you live from a little grass shack in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's the Junior Kekuewa Jr. Show, starring Junior Kekuewa Jr.
I thought we fired this guy.
Join Junior along with the Wayne Borje Band as he makes any kind from Hawaii.
All right, hurry up.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Junior Kekuewa Jr.
How's it going? Okay, all right. Yeah, let me get to the... All right, yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, how's it? And welcome to the podcast. I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr. We're going to do a podcast today on the subconscious mind. We're going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about brainwave states and, things that maybe like you didn't, think of, things that happen in your mind, in your head, for manifestation purposes. All right, this is the Law of Attraction, right? Okay, Law of Attraction comedy podcast because we try to make it fun. We're not trying to do comedy like on purpose. We just are amusing ourselves. Anyway, first, the attitude of gratitude. Thank you so much for joining us. Also, we'd like to say thank you to all of our new subscribers and listeners. Okay, so our new listeners, like we have this. We I don't know. Sometimes we go over it, sometimes we don't. But anyway, let's just kind of go over what we have and who's listening and whatever. So our last country, okay, our analytics as it were. Okay, so we're gonna look at our audience, and we have a couple of new countries. So we have, oh boy, yeah. So we have a few. So Denmark, Italy, Germany. Denmark, Germany, Grisini, and Ghana. Okay, so people in Ghana are listening. So hey, we want to welcome you guys. Sorry, I'm not familiar with every country in the world, but Apple Podcasts also. Okay, they're on the rebound. They used to be like 80-something%. Okay, now they're up to like 42%. Web browsers are increasing. 19.1%. Thank you very much. iHeartRadio. So I used to work for iHeartRadio. On the iHeartRadio app, you can find us. You can find my albums, my music. My whole life is on iHeart. You can go on the radio app. But yeah, we had a working relationship with them in person for years, and then now we're still on their media app. So you can find us there. Spotify. Spotify's like up there. And Spotify for creators. And then there's 8.6% of others. So, unspecified. So, yeah, there's that. All right. And let's start by actually, getting into the subconscious. So I do a live on TikTok now. Okay. And this is just started up recently, and we do it 7 a.m. Hawaii time. If you're, available, and if you're on TikTok, go check it out. But anyway, we do that, and we do a live because we want to help people understand the subconscious mind. Okay, we want to help you understand how it is that you manifest, because you do manifest whether you think so or not. Okay, so whether you believe in it or, because it's not something to believe in, really. I mean, it's something to be aware of, and it's something that you can control. Okay, because I've learned to control it, and it wasn't easy. The hard part was just really understanding how sensitive your subconscious is. Your subconscious is always listening. Okay, so there's only the subconscious, or the conscious, the subconscious, and superconscious. Okay, that's all there is. That's all that exists in you. Okay, really. And this is, like, look around you. Look around you at your surroundings, right? And when you look around at your surroundings, you'll go, wow, okay, I have all these things, or I don't have all these things, or I don't have anything. There was a time in my life where I had nothing. I was sleeping on a sidewalk, at this movie theater, right? There was this Japanese movie theater called Toyo Theater here in Honolulu. And I was sleeping on by the exit door on the sidewalk. And, I was happy. I mean, I wasn't mad at the world or God or anything. But it was just, it was what it was, and I was there, and but I didn't have anything. So when I looked around me, like all I had was a blanket. That's all I had, a blanket and whatever I was wearing. And I kept my clothes at a street people mission, So, I mean, that was my life, early my 20s. So now if I look back at that, knowing what I know now and knowing, what the subconscious does now, and I look back to what I was doing then and what I had then, I go, oh, okay, that's what I manifested. Okay. And, a chain of events happened that got me homeless, right? And it was my fault. It was totally my fault. Like I screwed up. I was in my early 20s and I screwed up my life. But, I wasn't angry or upset or anything. So now, here's the thing about manifestation. It happens. Okay, so your conscious mind thinks 1,000 thoughts a day. Okay, now the most predominant thoughts go into your subconscious. Your subconscious, okay, then takes orders. Okay, so let's say your most dominant thought is, I want to eat a hamburger or something, right? Something simple like that. Okay, now if that's the case and that's your most dominant thought, it goes into your subconscious, and your subconscious starts giving you ideas on how you can eat a hamburger. Okay, like maybe go to McDonald's. I don't know, something like that. Whatever. So, but in the case where you have nothing, okay, say you're on the street, and say you don't have access to money. Okay, so your subconscious will give you ideas on how to get money or how to get somebody to buy a hamburger for you or how to whatever. Okay, but I'm just saying that that's what happens in the subconscious. Now, from the subconscious, right, we form our habits based upon our beliefs. So it becomes a belief in your subconscious. Now you're forming habits based upon what you believe to be true. Okay, now this is like, what you believe to be true about anything. It's not just, it's people, it's places, it's things, it's everything. Okay, so you have different beliefs about things. And whatever when people say, oh, don't be prejudiced, don't prejudge, right? So when you pronounce judgment on something, it goes into your subconscious. When you look at somebody and go, oh, that must be that kind of guy or that kind of girl or whatever, it goes into your subconscious, okay? So now your subconscious forms beliefs. Now your paradigm is how you react to those beliefs. Like, what do you actually, what do you believe about something? And then that's how you're going to react to it. That's how you're going to act to it, right? So there's action, reaction. All of that revolves around what you believe about something. So now let me, kind of share with you how to manifest things, because I'm really good at this. I do this all the time, and it works for me in my life, right? And I think the key, because I have an agreement with God, okay? So God and I call my higher intelligence, my higher self. I worship God. I praise God. Okay, so I'm talking about the Christian God. Okay, I'm not talking about Yahweh. I'm talking about His Father, the Most High. Okay, now go do your research, and I mean, if you've been of another understanding, okay, everybody has their own understanding. Okay, this is not religion 101 or anything like that, but I will tell you that I believe in the Most High. Okay, not any of His children. So, and then right then there's Jesus Christ. Okay. And Jesus Christ came to show us the way. Jesus Christ came to go, hey, it's like this, right? Now, I will tell you that the kingdom is within, like Jesus taught us. Okay, so now, like I said, this is not church or anything, but inside, right, the kingdom is within. Now, inside, you have the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Okay, you have contact with the superconscious, but inside, your subconscious, or the culmination of all of your feelings, all of your emotions, all of your senses, okay, go into your subconscious. And that connects to the superconscious or consciousness, okay? So if you understand the esoteric meanings in the Bible, the numerology in the Bible, the astrology in the Bible, it's all there, okay? It will tell you exactly what this is, okay? But yeah, you're not going to get this in Sunday school because they don't want you to know, because they want you to keep donating to the church. Okay, so now there is different brainwave states. Okay, now there's certain times where it's ideal for you to manifest things, or let's say it another way. There are certain times where it's easy for you to program your subconscious and go, okay, well, I want this, or I want to do this tomorrow, or I want to do that tomorrow, or I want to go here, I want to go there, I want to meet that person, I want to meet a person that does XYZ because I want a job at XYZ company, that kind of thing, right? So let me go over the different brainwave states, okay? So first, there's well, we're talking about beta, alpha, theta, delta, and gamma. Okay, and what they do and how it is, and that kind of thing. So focused work, when you're focused on work, okay, and it's structured work, like you're going through a process. Okay, you're in beta state. Okay, now how do you get there? Right? Okay, upbeat music. Right? You put upbeat music on and you start focusing, and it's like you get that aerobic type music in the background or binaural beats or something like that. And then you do your structured work. Okay. Caffeine also helps. Lord knows that's my favorite thing, like coffee. Okay. Now creative brainstorming is done in alpha state. Now, what is alpha state? Well, alpha is when you're relaxed. Okay. Like when you're going for a walk, okay? Now, in alpha state, when you're relaxed, okay, you feel good, okay? So some hormones get released, okay? Now, I'm not going to, get real deep into this stuff, but because it goes over a lot of people's heads. It's like, what? Neurotransmitters? What? That kind of stuff. But anyway, so alpha is like when you're going for a walk, when you're relaxing, you're playing soft music. That's alpha. Now, manifestation and visualization states are kind of like going from alpha to theta, because theta is your ideal manifestation state. Theta is just when you're falling asleep. Okay, so right when you're falling asleep, you're fully relaxed. You're at your most relaxed. Okay, so you go from alpha, right, to let's say the kind of feeling you get from going for a walk or playing soft music, and you're getting in the mood to relax, that kind of thing. And then when you get there, when you get from alpha to theta, when you get there, you're talking about like guided meditations or deep visualizations. Okay, when you're imagining this, you're imagining being on a tropical island, on a balcony of a hotel overlooking a bay, and you see the palm trees and the breeze is blowing, that kind of thing. Okay, I hope I painted the right picture in your head. All right, so theta state. Okay, theta state is right before you fall asleep. Okay, when you're fully relaxed. Okay, alpha state is more of the picture that I painted, but you move from that into theta. Now, deep subconscious healing, it happens in theta. Okay, deep subconscious healing. Now, what are we talking about healing? Like you can heal from disease? Well, here's the thing, right? Scientists are telling us that yes, you can heal in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind can help you heal. Now, as far as miracle kind of healing, like people hear healing from cancer and stuff, and I got to say that we don't make any medical claims. Okay, I got to say that. That's a disclaimer. But yeah, you do heal from certain things. But the most common healing happens with the emotions, okay? Now, I'm talking about like people that worry, okay? People that stress over things, okay? People that, worry is probably the most common stress, but there's other stress. It's like finishing my job on time. There's like the freaking out kind of thing, like, oh man, I got all this work to do and I got to finish by 5:00. What? That kind of thing. So anyway, there's that kind of subconscious healing. Now, when you heal your emotions, other things follow. Okay. So what I do is I do it through the human voice, and we do it, in such a way that people start calming inside, and we get them down to alpha state. Okay. So we work them down into alpha. Now, when they go from alpha to theta, it's an easier transition. Okay. It's an easier transition to go into a meditative state. Okay. Or, what we call deep subconscious healing in theta state. And how you get there is hypnosis, nighttime meditation, at the end of the day when you're done with everything, and you go into, that kind of state. Okay. Now, body restoration. How do you get that? Body restoration? What is that? No, yeah. Your subconscious does that. Okay, so you know all the damage you do to your body all day long, right? You know, you go caffeine and then you have a drink after work and you go down, so you go up and down. Okay, so when you sleep, and this is why sleep is so important, okay? And, I have a habit of, because I have ADHD, okay? You guys know that about me. So when I go, do, right? Work, that kind of thing. My cycle used to be, it's kind of loosening up a little bit now. I'm kind of like doing it on purpose. But my cycle used to be like just jam for 2 weeks, okay? Jam for 2 weeks and then hit the wall. Jam for 2 weeks, hit the wall. Jam for 2 weeks, hit the wall. But I got an incredible amount of work done, an incredible volume of work. And if you want to see, some of that work, all you have to do is just search my name online. Okay. And when you search my name online, right, Junior Keikoewa Jr., and you plug that into a browser, you'll see all that work and you go, oh, dude, man, like who are you? A lot of people don't know. So some people know me as the entertainer. Some people know me as the podcaster. Some people know me as the life coach. Some people know me as the consultant. I mean, so I have all these labels, right? But really, I just wanted to live my dreams. I just wanted to live all of my dreams. And you can live all of your dreams, okay? You don't have to do one thing. Now, if you're happy doing one thing, the same thing, and being really, really good at that one thing, and you're going to work all the way till, I don't know, 65, 70, I don't know what the new retirement age is, 70 something, right? If you're going to work till then you get the gold watch and the thank you party and go on a couple of cruises and die. If that's your idea of a productive life, then okay. Yeah, a lot of people do that, right? And most people, when they retire, that's when they run into problems, right? When they stop working. Okay, because when you stop working, right, your subconscious does not know what to do if you don't reprogram it. Okay, so here's the thing, right? My mother is 89 years old. She's 89 and she's active. Her brain is active. She's learning new things. She's doing stuff. And the reason why this is possible at 89 is because she constantly reprograms her subconscious, like all the time. She doesn't write affirmations. I know that for a fact. Okay, she doesn't have time, and she'll be the first one that I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. I never understood, why my mom always said that. But she's so busy, she keeps her mind busy. Okay, now your subconscious, like I said, takes in all this information. Okay, so whether you think so or not, whether you're on board with the idea of manifestation or not, it will take in all your ideas. It will take in all of your programming, your most dominant thoughts. So when my mom wakes up in the morning and she goes, okay, we're going to remodel the yard. I mean, she loves to do stuff like that. She hires a crew and they come over and she, I don't know. I think maybe in a past life, she was some kind of foreman or something. I don't know, but she has fun doing it, right? Now, this keeps her active because she's constantly thinking. She's constantly working. She's not doing the kind of work she used to do, right? But she's working. She's active. The thing about retired people and what happens is slowly they slow down, right? They slow down their thinking. Pretty soon they get bored. Guess what happens when you get bored? Guess what happens when you don't direct your mind? Your mind directs you, okay? And it attacks you, and it makes you sick, and it makes you crazy. It does. It will do that. I mean, I have clients, right? And we have a text and email service, and I have clients that will text me and go, man, I'm stuck. Like I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can continue. I got to make money, and I'm doing this new idea, and I don't know if I can, and I'm like, no, stop. All right, refocus, reframe, okay? So when you reframe something, okay, we'll get into that at maybe some other time, but when you reframe something, now you're talking about neuro-linguistic programming, okay, NLP. When you reframe something, now reframing, I'll just give you a brief description, and you can look it up and follow through or follow up. So what NLP is in the reframing sense, okay, is like instead of saying like I have a hard time with math, right? Because I have a hard time with math. I have this girl that I'm really friendly with that has a hard time with math, and she listens to the podcast. So if you're listening right now, I'm thinking of you. All right, there you go. So but she has a hard time with math. I have a hard time with math, right? I hate numbers. And there's a reason, and that's not relevant. But what I'm saying is, if you reframe, I'm not good at math, okay, to like math is a challenge for me, okay? There you go. You reframed it. Now it takes on a different meaning, especially in your subconscious. Okay. Now there was a time I shut out math. I just shut it out. I said, no, I'm not going to do this. And I did not do it until one of my uncles started to show me how to do it in my head. And I'm like, whoa, I can do this in my head? Yeah. And he gave me visuals. So now when I have to figure out a math problem, I use visuals in my head. I'm like, okay, groups of this, that. And it's the long way around. It really is. It's the long way around. But having ADHD and the kind of brain I have, right, that jumps tracks, and I mean, it really jumps tracks. And so it's easier for me. It's easier for me to visualize, groups of 4 or 5 or whatever it is, right? Groups, and then put it together and then come to the sum or the final, amount, whatever, like that. And that's what I do. So anyway, so there's that kind of thinking, right? There's reframing. Now, when you go into deep subconscious healing, theta, okay, this is when you're just about to fall asleep, or like when you're doing hypnosis or meditation. Now, hypnosis, I'm not really qualified to speak on hypnosis, but you can find hypnotists all over the place. Hypnotists are very common, and hypnotic therapy is very common. Hypnosis is very common. People practice that, and it works for a lot of people. Okay. And so I'm not qualified to talk on that. But then the body restoration part, the delta, is when you're sleeping, okay? And things get repaired. So, like I said, I go 2 weeks and hit the wall, 2 weeks, hit the wall. I don't really do that anymore. Sometimes I go for a week and then I purposely go, all right, done. I'll go on a spree for a week. And when you have ADHD, the key is the H, okay? That's the hyper part, okay? And I am like hyper everything, like everything. Okay, so it's very easy for me to hype up anything. And I mean anything. So for me, right, I just get into a project and I'm going to do this. And then I knock it out. And sometimes if it's a big project, it takes a long time to knock it out, right? But I just go until I complete it, because I hate to, like, just for me, just my personal preference, I hate to start something and then pause, and then start something and pause. I'd rather knock something out or work on something consecutively until it's done. In other words, I work on something all day today, and then tomorrow I work on the same thing all day, and then the next day, all day, and then it's complete. That kind of thing. That's what I mean by consecutively. But when you are sleeping, when you get deep rest, when you get your REM sleep, okay, that's when the body is being restored. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, your body can restore from almost anything. Okay, but if you run it down, okay, much like you run down an appliance or whatever else, right? If you run it down and you don't recharge your batteries, okay, and you just run it to the core and you run it on it and you go in on empty and that kind of thing, okay, you're going to have problems. You're going to have health problems. Now, I'm very, very healthy. Do I get sick? Hardly ever. But that's my understanding. My understanding is I don't get sick. When COVID happened, right? COVID happened, in 2020, and I was very worried at the fact that I might get sick, because people were saying, oh, people with respiratory problems, they're dying from this thing, right? And I have asthma. And I'm an asthmatic, and every once in a while, I get bronchitis. I haven't had that for a long time, for years. I haven't had bronchitis for years, but I do get it, and I live in air conditioning now. So that's another thing that happens with air conditioning. You get bronchitis, sometimes. And I'm very lucky. I haven't had bronchitis for over 2 years. But back in the day, right, during COVID, that was a fear. That was a legitimate fear. And I had to, tell my subconscious to stop it, knock it off. Like, don't fear this stuff. Don't fear this stuff. And guess what? I came down with COVID. Okay. And this was like the first month of COVID. So I got the really bad one, the first strain. And so I got COVID, right? Went into the hospital, and they would not let me stay in the hospital. Not the hospital, my people, my executive assistant would not let me stay in the hospital. And she's going, nope, you're gonna get worse. Sign him out. And so I signed out, right? I signed out of the hospital. I'm walking out, and I had surgery. I had an appendectomy. And it was that day, and I had COVID too, right? So I had COVID, got an appendectomy, walked out of the hospital, and they brought the wheelchair, and I said, I'm not sitting in that wheelchair. So I put my backpack on the wheelchair because I had brought my laptop. I was working. I was doing work in the hospital. So, before I went into my surgery, like, I was working on my laptop. I was doing my TikTok. I was, doing stuff like that. And then after surgery, right, I got out, and I was in pain and everything for the first day. It was really painful, but I was checking my laptop, checking my emails, doing my stuff. I mean, I would have to die to stop working. That's just me. And so I'm checking my stuff and whatever. And then they tell me, well, so your executive assistant told us you have to leave. So you have to go. I'm like, okay. And so I put my backpack with my laptop and everything, my phone, everything, in the wheelchair, and the nurse's aide pushes my wheelchair, and we had it on film. We got it on film. We'll put it on social media. That was funny. But I'm walking out of the hospital after surgery, and she's like wheelchairing my backpack out of the hospital. That was a riot. Anyway, but yeah, get some sleep, okay? Get a lot of restful sleep, and you need at least 6 hours. Okay, that's according to research. Now, sometimes I get 5 hours, like tonight I had 5 hours, right? Last night I had 5 hours. This morning I'm up at 1 o'clock in the morning, okay, and then I start my day. And my day consists of multiple things, and my day doesn't end today until 8 o'clock. Okay, it doesn't end until 8 p.m. And then I sleep all the way till 3 p.m. Okay, and then I get up at 3, and then like that. Okay, so these things, it happens. My life happens like that. Okay, but I have a lot of things to do, and because I'm ADHD, I have that H. Okay, I have that energy that normal people, well, let's say average people, not average in the average sense. I'm just saying people that don't have ADHD. If you don't have ADHD, then you're not like that. Okay, then some of you guys sleep 8 hours. Okay, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. I have a lot to do. But here's the thing: with ADHD, you have to give your brain a job. It needs a job. If it doesn't have a job, you can actually get really screwed up from ADHD because it can work against you. Okay, and you know this because every time you're sitting by yourself and you're with your thoughts, okay, your thoughts can start to attack you if you don't direct your thoughts. And a lot of people suffer from that. And then they call me at Here For You Life Coaching. Well, they don't call, they email. They go to the website, hereforyouLifeCoaching.com, and they email me, and I work with them, and they get over it, and they move on with a more productive life. Okay, now, what is the super learning state? So far, we went over the beta state, alpha, okay, and then the transition from alpha to theta, how that works. We went over theta and delta, because that's deep sleep, okay, quality rest, okay, and you need that, okay. So sometimes if you work a lot, like just reserve one day to sleep in, okay, and sleep in. And when I mean sleep in, like when I sleep in like several times in one day. And that's my restorative sleep, okay? So I get in, like, I'll sleep for like 3 or 4 hours, and then I'll get up and do something, then I'll sleep for 3 or 4 hours, then I'll get up and do something in 3 or 4 hours, and my body heals. Okay, now super learning state, this is the last one. This is gamma, okay? Like gamma radiation, okay? It's kind of like that, gamma, okay? It's not like that. It's a brainwave state. Okay. Now, all of these brainwave states have frequencies. You are a frequency being as a human being. You're a frequency being. Okay. So, what does that mean? Well, you respond to frequency. Okay. And there are machines right now that are actually built to dissolve cancer cells, to dissolve certain things in the human body, certain illnesses. Okay. And these are sound wave machines. Now, they're not really in hospitals yet. And, I have a little conspiracy theory about that. I don't think they want to make everybody well, right? Then everybody hang out and, instead of 7 billion people in the world, there'll be 14. I don't know. But anyway, what I'm saying is it's there. It's being developed. Sound wave therapy. So you stand in this thing, much like you go into those MRI machines, where they slide you in that big machine like that. Okay, so it's kind of like that. Only instead of taking an X-ray, okay, they're just using sound waves to dissolve cells. Okay, so they can do that. I don't know, I don't think they're in mass production or anything, or using it on a wider, large scale or anything, but it exists. Okay, because we're frequency beings. Everything in you has a frequency. Okay, and this is why the human voice works. When we use the human voice with people, it calms people, it gets people into a different state, and actually gets them in alpha state, right? And then we teach them how to meditate once they transition into theta state, and then they begin to heal. Okay, heal means, in this sense, heal would mean like if you have anxiety, okay, if you're self-conscious, if you're uptight, if you're tense, if you're, closed in or reserved or shy, it reverses all of that, and we call that healing. Okay, we make no medical claims. So now gamma, right? So gamma is when you're when you're really advanced, like genius state, gamma. That's a very, very high frequency. Okay, and how do you get to gamma? It's like super learning kind of thing. Okay, gamma state is like when you are just blazing through things and you're taking in information and your brain is ramped up to like high productivity. Okay, that's gamma. Okay, now how do you get there? Well, you can meditate, and that will free you up. See, meditation does a lot of stuff. Meditation actually gets you to like what I call base level. So base level, what's base level? Well, base level is when when you're not like full of anxiety, when you're not worried, when you're not preoccupied with other things, when you're just focused on being, when you're just being, Hawaiians, okay? Now, this is easy to it's easy to like accept a lot of stuff when you're at base level, because there's no preoccupation with anxiety or any negative emotion, right? And you're clear. Okay, that's another way we can say it. We can say you're clear, you're open. Okay, you're a blank slate. Okay, and now what? Now you can focus on anything. Now there's nothing in your way. Okay, now everything is clear. Okay, so binaural beats are really important too for that, because you can just put on binaural beats in your headphones, or you can wear headphones, right? And then you can like jam work, like paperwork online. Just get on your laptop, put on the binaural beats, and just jam and just do work. It will help to ramp you up to that state, okay? So that's gamma state. That's super learning. So now let's go over some fundamental things about your conscious, subconscious, superconscious, that kind of thing. So what are we really talking about? Well, let's explain the process again. So now your conscious mind thinks a million thoughts a day, okay? Now, out of those million thoughts, right, your predominant thoughts, or the thoughts you think the most, go in your subconscious as a belief. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. Just remember that. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. So, like religion is good at that, right? Because when you're 5 and you go to church, and then, you grow up in church, and then you go to Sunday school, and pretty soon by the time you come out, you come out of high school, and then you go to church, and then now it's your family, and now you're introducing your kids to church, and now, that kind of thing. But you're also, talking about other things. You're also talking about education, like you believe, okay, you believe that the only way you can get ahead in life is to be educated. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're born with infinite intelligence. Now, infinite intelligence is kind of different, okay? It's very, very different from, education, okay? Education. Look up the word educate, okay? And anyway, so you become indoctrinated. You become indoctrinated in college. You become indoctrinated in churches. Anything that takes your mind and directs it to something else and goes, okay, this is the thing right here. This is the thing. Now, if you keep thinking that's the thing, you will believe that that's the thing. And now you have formed a belief in your subconscious. Now, your subconscious sends that signal, okay, to you. It creates your paradigm because it's sending the signal that, okay, I believe this. This is what I believe. I believe that, because I'm a college graduate, I know more than Joe Blow down the street that never went to college, so I'm better than him or whatever. Like not all educated people think like that, but they do have a certain thing, right? So if you go to here's how a lot of that works, okay? So we have a lot of that ego boost from things like that, okay? And the ego boost happens when you don't go to college or whatever, and somebody else goes to college, and then the guy that goes to college, kind of like he hangs out with guys that went to college, and he kind of whatever. And it's not always that way. I'm not saying that this is the norm. But I'm saying that these things happen. I've seen it. I've seen it in clients. But here's the thing with, when I dropped out of college, right? My uncle, who was like my first mentor, told me, he said, "Oh, that's the best thing you ever did." And and I was like, "What?" And he goes, "No, that's the best thing you ever did was drop out of college." And so, and I didn't realize it at the time because I wasn't, into these studies, because I wasn't studying psychology in college. I had to do this outside of college, right? And then when I got outside of college, I go, oh, okay, I know what he's talking about now, right? Because I wasn't indoctrinated in certain things. Now, I have this background in esoteric knowledge, and I have this background in conspiracies because there's so many conspiracies, right? And, recently, when CIA documents were declassified, just to take a hard left, Louis Hines, when it was, declassified, we started finding out like all these things that were conspiracies actually became truths because there was the evidence, right? Because it was classified, it was hidden from us. So a lot of things that we thought were conspiracy actually turned out not to be. It actually turned out to be truths or confirmed, right? And so we found out a lot about these things during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these things that, we, people were telling us, so educated people, right? Because they're educated, and they were telling us, oh no, it can't possibly be that. Oh no, you're out of your mind. And a lot of us truthers, right? And a lot of truthers listen to my podcast because they do. And, we see it in the demographics. We see it in the, my Facebook people join, that kind of thing. And what I've come to experience from the truthers is that, if I hear something in the truth community or the truther community, or let's say the people that are trying to convince the other people that are not in the know kind of community, then I look at it and I go, oh, okay, well, let's try and research this down. And a lot of times this stuff gets scrubbed from the web. Tons of stuff got scrubbed from YouTube. You can find it on Rumble. Anyway, if you want to look at stuff like that. But then, okay, I got to give you the other side of that too. When you go to Rumble and you see some of this stuff, they sensationalize it. Okay, so they blow it up bigger than it is. Even though it's the truth, they'll blow it up so that even a truther goes, oh, dude, come on. I'll watch videos like that. I'll be like, oh man, no, don't go there. They stretch it. They stretch it for impact, or they stretch it, or they exaggerate, that kind of thing. But I started these things at a young age. So, it made an imprint on my subconscious, right? And my subconscious dictates my actions. So, I'm skeptical because I know that nothing in the world. Jordan Maxwell said this. This is his quote. He said, "Nothing in the world works the way you think it does." Okay. And I'm not going conspiracy on this podcast. I'm saying that in your subconscious, okay, if these are the things that you believe to be true, okay, and we're seeing more evidence of it, more and more, okay, we're seeing evidence that the planet has been around a lot longer than people think, but we also are seeing that the same people that are controlling the planet have controlled the planet for about 6,000 years. Okay, and these are we want to say an order of priesthoods. Let's just say priesthoods. Okay, they have controlled the realm, okay, or the planet for 6,000 years, at least 6,000 years, and during those 6,000 years, there have been resets. Okay, they have reset the planet. Okay, what do you mean reset the planet? Well, they have the power or the technology or the knowledge to reset our society, and they have done it before. And it looks like, from what I studied, it looks like they're going to do it again. And there's nothing we can do to stop it. It's not something that you stop. It's something that you don't care about, because you're a spiritual being. You're a spirit, okay, in a body. Your body just carries you around. There's this separation between spirit and body, okay? Or let's say, the physical and spiritual. There's a difference. Now, with the spiritual, right, that's where your subconscious comes in, because your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses, okay? And as a spirit in a body, you can sense anything because you've been given hearing, you've been given sight, you've been given smell, you've been given taste, you've been given touch. Okay, so all of these things make up your subconscious. People think, that there's two trains of thought, right? And one is like, okay, my subconscious is like a state of mind. No, your subconscious is everything, okay? But you absorb everything. And then when you absorb everything, now you have actions based upon what you absorb. Let's say it that way. Okay. In other words, if you touch the stove and the stove is hot and you get burned, now when you go next to a stove, you go, whoa, 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 can't get too close to that. Okay. Now that's an action. That's your paradigm concerning the stove. Why? Because you believe it's hot, or you believe that when it's on, it's dangerous, or whatever, okay? However you look at it, but that's what happens. And that's your paradigm, your system of beliefs and habits based upon what you believe. Now, it applies to everything. Now, here's the thing, okay? Here's all of your benefits, okay? So this is the life coaching part. Take out your writing pad, okay? Make notes. Here we go, okay? Or record this part of the podcast or whatever. All right, so now how can you change these things? Okay, the 4 pillars to change, the 4 pillars that you can use to absolutely rewrite your beliefs, because a belief is a thought you keep thinking. So you want to change your thoughts, or let's say it another way, you want to redirect your thoughts or think different things, okay? So all you do, the 4 pillars, okay? Affirmations, meditation, visualization, and vocalization. The 4 pillars. Now, when you start directing all of these 4 things to one thing, you bring it into your world rather quickly. Okay, I want to say you bring it into your world, and it just is. Okay. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that you're living one long now. Okay, you're living one long now. There is no yesterday. There is no tomorrow. Okay, that is a social construct. That is a manufactured thing. Okay, so they manufactured this calendar, okay, because they needed to have work days, because they needed to plan days. I mean, we need organization. Okay, so that happened. But we're living one long now. So how long has your now been? Has it been 25 years? Has it been 50 years? Has it been 60 years? Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay. So we're living one long now. So when you manifest, you want to manifest in the now because there's no other time to manifest. You can't manifest in the future. You cannot manifest yesterday. You can only manifest now. Or let's say it another way. You can only materialize things now, like right now. Okay. Now people say, well, you plant the seeds now and it'll, develop into something. Yeah, that's true. But you need to say it now. You need to write it now in the now. It has to be done now. Now, how do you do now? Well, I am so happy and grateful now that, right? I am confident. Start with that because confidence is the beginning, okay, of that clean slate that we talked about earlier. Like when there's no worry, when there's no anxiety, when there's no fear, when there's no anything. All the negative emotions are rooted in fear. Okay, so affirmations, number 1. Okay, now you can write, I am so happy and grateful now that I am, and that's a double I am, by the way. I am refers to your soul. Okay, look it up. And I am so happy now and grateful that I am confident. Okay, so that's one. Now, if you want more money, okay, just write down money comes quick, easily, plentifully, and quickly. Write it down. Okay, or I am so grateful and happy now that money comes to me easily, plentifully, and quickly. You can do that one. Okay, when you put I am in the sentence that you're writing, it's more powerful because it refers to your very being. Now, can you just write affirmations and speak them and whatever and just not really believe it or whatever? Well, yeah, you can, but you need to put emotion behind it. Because when you put emotion behind it, you start believing it. When you put emotion behind it, you start getting into it. You start feeling it. When you start feeling it, it comes quicker. It comes faster. Okay, I do it all the time. It works all the time, 24/7. Sometimes I got to wait 2 months, 3 months, 4 months for something. I have to be patient. Okay, because what you speak now is like ordering from the catalog of the universe or ordering from God, right? You say, you're telling God what you want. I am so happy and grateful now that I want, now that I have whatever, okay? And then what do? Well, there's the second pillar, right, which is meditation. Now you're going to sit still, okay? Now you're going to sit still and clear. Remember what I said about clearing? You got to clear because that anxiety, that worry, all those thoughts that plague you all the time, they got to go. Okay, so what do? You sit down and you do ho'oponopono, okay? Meditation. So you sit down, you be still, out loud, you speak this for a little while, okay? And it may be like maybe 6, 8, 10 times, okay? I am so happy and grateful. So you speak your affirmation first. I am so happy and grateful now that I am confident. And then, I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Okay? So that's your mantra for your meditation. Okay? First, there's your affirmation. Now you do your mantra. Okay? So your mantra, again, okay, so I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And now after you speak it a few times, just say it in your head, okay? And you'll feel the change. You will feel the change, but you have to be sincere about it. You have to feel it. You have to feel that you're sorry. You have to feel, please forgive me, okay? You have to ask for forgiveness. When you ask, you will receive. It's that simple. Whenever you ask, whenever you submit, whenever you say, I'm sorry, whenever you repent, you want to say it that way, we'll say it that way. Whenever you repent, whenever you're sorry, whenever you want to be forgiven, all you do is ask and it shall be done. Okay, there you go. Meditation, visualization. You have to see yourself there. You have to see yourself worthy. Okay, but you need to put emotion behind it. You need to really see yourself sitting behind that desk of the job you want and go, yeah, or in the shop of your new business that you're making for yourself, or behind your laptop, ruling over your empire, whatever. Okay, but all of that. And you have to see yourself worthy. Now, visualization, you can also take screenshots of things. Now, let's say you wanted to have a digital business. Go take a digital screenshot of a website or a digital business or whatever represents that to you. Put it on your screensaver, on your phone, on your lock screen, and look at it all the time. Okay, now that's visualization. Vocalization. Well, vocalization, we have a special exercise that we do. It's expressing tones, okay? Expressing tones with velocity, strength, wind strength, okay? So wind speed is velocity, right? Because you bring it up with air. You use air and muscles to sing or to create tones, okay? Or to chant. You can do that. But that's vocalization, okay? And vocalization is also speaking the dream. Okay, speaking your goals. Now, don't speak them around people because, you have haters. People, there are so many. I had professional haters in my life. I still have professional haters. They will hate me just for the sake of hating. I mean, just for the sake of being jealous, just for the sake of trying to sabotage whatever it is or whatever. Good luck on that one because it doesn't work. Okay, so don't speak your dream in front of people, okay? Just speak it to yourself while you're by yourself. Okay, there you go. Okay, affirmations, meditation, visualization, vocalization. How are you? There you go. There you go. Hey, we want to thank Voice Master Family of Service Companies, also AFM Hawaii Music with the music of Darren Janan at afmhawaiimusic.com. Hire him for your parties. He's available. All right. So until next time, remember the 4 pillars, okay? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. All right. Go reprogram your subconscious and win. Until next time, I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr. saying mahalo and aloha.